Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to fly the Fenix Block 2 update one more time. So we gotta start slightly different today because I did attempt to have the flight everything loaded up ready by the time we scheduled to start the live stream, but as always my lovely simulator decided, nah, I don't want to, and the Fenix just stayed black because I probably reloaded a few times with a running simulator session previously. So, well, we gotta start with a thorough study of our flight plan today. So let's go ahead and have a look into that. So you can see we're flying the Vueling 251 Lima today, Barcelona to Nice, and then hopefully back as well. Couple of things that I did research earlier was, amongst others, the data from Flight Radar 24, as we've got it down over here. And I did also check for the actual gate of the flight, so I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight into my flight planning here until my simulator is loaded in the background when we can jump into the airplane. So this is going to be our gate. I do probably want to reset us to position 214 though, because with the new scenery it looks really nice to have all the ground clutter over here, just like in the Flight Radar 24 background image. And that is what I am going to use as a basis for my flight. So when we go into the actual flight plan itself then, over on SimBrief we can see that we do have a route at flight level 300 today for this flight, approximately an hour or so flight time. And the most interesting thing today is going to be the weather over in Nice, which is a very clear runway 22 operation. Runway 22 does feature some very nice approaches, so we can sure enough stand by for that in today's flight. Now going a little bit further down into the general data then, this is basically exactly how I would review the flight in the real world, by the way, with the flight preparation document. We're going to start with a significant weather chart. Might have to zoom out a little bit, and as you can see there is already quite a bit of stuff over here, so let's just zoom out far enough that we can actually see what is what. So this is not going to affect us. And then zooming into our arrival, over on the area close to Nice, we have some isolated embedded thunderstorms from flight level 300 down to the bottom of the chart. So that's the first thing that we are going to have a look into today. Now, when we are looking at the actual route, then we can get rid of the significant weather now. And first of all, in terms of en route alternates, we don't need to worry about any of this. But what we can think about is obviously where our actual alternates are located. As you can see, they're all located in France, which is going to make our life a little bit easier there, seeing that everything remains in the same country, so we don't have issues with passengers not getting visas in case that we need to bring them to the alternate, etc. So that certainly makes our life a little bit easier from a pilot's point of view. Now going into the actual briefing preview, first of all we can start by looking at the schedule, and I do have a feeling that we are not going to make this anymore today. Who knows, we might be able to make the airborne time at 45, but I kinda doubt it. In any case, we're scheduled to land 3 minutes prior to the scheduled arrival time, planned with a cost index of 20. So this is something that we can absolutely factor into our planning today when making our fuel decision. Now, having a look into our actual weather, first of all, starting in Barcelona, wind 010 at 6, so that might be runway 06, might be runway 24. As you can see on JustSim, they are using runway 24 for today's flight. Now, into the NOTAMs then, a little bit of useless stuff. This one here is interesting for us. Data link departure clearances are not available, and that's from the 5th of March at 2200, so they should be available by the time that we depart. Now going a little bit further down then into the arrival airport Nice, this is the most interesting one for us. As we can see, weather forecast 29015, gust 25, and that is the actual interesting thing for us today. Now over there, don't have an ATIS from JustSim unfortunately, and then looking into the NOTAMs, couple of taxiway closures, nothing too severe. The thing that we are most interested in, ILS 04 left, is unusable, and that is actually from today onwards. And then we do have a closure here of a runway, and that is also from today onwards. So runway 4 left, 22 right is closed. That means 22 left is going to be our landing runway today. Alright, in terms of alternates, if we have a look at Marseille, we can see good weather forecast all around, so we don't need to worry about that at all. Alright, so with that in mind, let's now go ahead and make a decision on how much fuel we want to take. And the interesting thing here is we are going to depart with a little bit of delay. We know that already, but we want to arrive on time still. So what we are going to do is to grab a little bit extra fuel. Now, in the real world, the flight plan would down here tell us how much fuel we would use more if we were to file with a higher cost index. And that's something that, well, we don't know over here for our flight plan yet. So we just gotta guesstimate it. But the good news is on short haul, you can't really overestimate anything here. So if we just take a ton of extra fuel, then we know we are going to be absolutely safe. We can take a maximum of 2,813, well, liters. I've got no idea why they give us that in liters in SimBrief. Should be kilograms down here. But in any case, that is what we are going to do. So we'll take a ton of extra fuel. So if we just make it easy, 6 tons is going to be perfectly fine. Alright then, so in the meantime, our simulator has actually loaded in the background, so welcome to the Fenix A320 in the Vueling livery. Livery from flightsim.to. Thank you very much to the awesome guys painting all those aircraft these days. It's really worth giving them a shout. Alright, so with that now said, let's head right into our airplane. I did load it into the cold and dark state in the meantime in the background, so this is what we're going to start on. Alright, gonna start with a little import there from SimBrief. I am going to adjust the time in a few moments. The only thing that I want to adjust in my simulator there when I load in, I want it to be daytime for our flight, so I set it to daytime here, and what I'm gonna do now is I will simply match the minutes. So it's 10 past 8 at the moment, so I'm going to make it 10 past in the sim as well. And that is kind of going to make our lives easier, because now it means that we can simply go ahead and use the numbers that we get from our flight management system in case we get any questions from air traffic control and stuff like that. Alright, so the time is now set. That's awesome. So with that, we are pretty much set up for, well, everything. Okay, so all of that said and done, let's go ahead and go straight back or straight over into preparing our flight. And we're going to start with the preliminary cockpit preparation procedure as always, which basically is first of all checking the airplane is safe, so engine master is off, mode selector is set to norm, and then we can have a look down here. Weather radar is switched off, the landing gear is down, wipers are off, battery voltage is greater than 25.5. So with that we can switch on our batteries. And then the external power can come on as well. And from here on, the airplane will first of all need a little bit of time in order to boot up. And while the airplane takes that time, what we're going to do is we go straight down here into the settings. So quick check into what we got over here. Everything that we have here has been automatically prepared by the gentleman who made the livery, so I'm going to leave all of that unchanged. The only thing I want to do here is to check for GSX. So we are going to do fueling and catering first, boarding second, wait for refuel before boarding. Nah, you don't need to do that. Okay, auto select ground handling agent, yes. Auto pushback, well, I'll tell you what, yes. Auto disconnect GPU on pushback, also yes. Auto deboard, yes. Auto GPU on arrival, yes. Okay, so this generally looks pretty good. Alright, awesome. Alright, the bus is shouting at us. That's basically the signal that it's ready. Alright, cool. So let's go straight into the mass and balance app. We said we wanted to take 6,000 kilograms of fuel. So 6,000 is going to go straight in here. And then you may please apply and load aircraft. And we are going to do this via GSX. I sure hope I'm not going to regret this. Alright, so let's see what's going to happen now. In any case, our airplane has finished booting up, so we're going to continue with our pre-flight cycle. APU fire test is going to be next, and works. So let's go ahead and start up the APU. We do want a little bit of air conditioning here for our passengers, as we are no longer the lowest end of low cost. Alright, so IRS, nav. Cockpit lights are pretty much set up here. I do really like the brightness of the new Fenix displays, by the way. They've done a really good job on that. That's really worth pointing out. The only thing that is unfortunately also worth pointing out on the negative side there is the frame rate. So I am going to hide the virtual cabin, as that is really impacting my frame rates. So I'm going to hide that for now. Okay, so with that, our APU is starting. Our airplane is about getting ready for everything. So let's go ahead then with our actual setup. And Pilots Fly asking in the chat, do you also review the Barcelona scenery from WinWings? No, I will not. I will stick to the MK Studios scenery over here because, well, I don't want to spend an additional 24 euros for a scenery that I can get for half the price. That is probably also going to look better because, let's be honest here, the MK Studios version looks pretty good. If we catch the time, I'm going to show you a little bit in a few moments. Okay, so let's go ahead then with our initialization. So we go down into the ATSU and we take the AOC menu, flight init, and data request. Thank you. In the meantime, we can do the aircraft acceptance. So recall for 3 seconds, 21, 22, 23. Alright, recall is looking normal, oxygen pressure is good, hydraulic quantities are looking good, and the engine oil quantities are looking good for our flight today as well. So, flap lever is in agreement with the selectors, ground spoilers retracted and disarmed. Then let's go park and brake off. Now we're gonna push the brake pedal. Here we go. Left side only, by the way. Okay, and the pressure does apply, 2000, which is minimum, so park and brake is set again, and here we go. Okay, APU available, so let's go ahead and put the APU bleed on, and that is pretty much most of our stuff here completed. So let's now go ahead and start off with our weather data request. So Lima, Echo, Bravo, Lima. Here we go, and I do want a METAR, send. Load sheet, preliminary. Okay, let's see, that's all within limits. The zero fuel weight is the limiting value over here. Trip fuel looking good, underload 1784. Passengers 0 in first class, 170 in economy. Zero fuel weight is looking good. Alright, we're going to accept that. And here is our weather data. 080 at 10, Cavalcade 13, 1021. Wind shear reported, runway 06 left. And no significant change. Okay, so then let's go ahead with our departure performance. So that's probably going pretty far into the direction of runway 06 now. So let's go ahead. Tell you what, 06 right, we're going to start with that. Optimum config, packs off is okay. And synchronize preliminary, synchronize live weather. We have intersections available? No. Okay. Well, in that case, hide intersection, calculate. Alright, so we know we can depart. However, I don't like config 3, so let's go ahead and recalculate for config 2. That is looking much better. Okay, so now we know we can depart, and now we've done our basic preliminary cockpit preparation. As you can see, this can take a little while to actually get it done. So, in the 737 we always did this in a matter of minutes, but certainly not on the Airbuses anymore. Okay, so, a quick word there. I'm sure some of you are going to wonder why I'm not going to do this flight on VATSIM. The answer is, if I'm looking around here, you can see my frame rate. And honestly, with the Block 2, I get such a bad frame rate, and recently with the recently I get the same with VATSIM. So if I combine the two, my Fenix becomes completely unflyable. And for that reason, I'm going to fly this one offline. I believe this is the very first live stream that I actually do offline. I do apologize for it, but I just see the necessity over here, and wouldn't know how to circumvent that problem. On the positive side though, that does give us a couple of opportunities of stuff that we can do without actually having to worry about accommodating with JustSim ATC, so we are certainly going to have a good time here. So, what's the status of our refueling? It's completed. Awesome. Then the seatbelts can come on. Okay, on the terms of the batteries, gonna switch them both off, switch them on again. And then we go down to the electrics and we can observe the batteries charging down here on the amperage. And that is the important thing that we want to check over here. Alright, fueling is complete, so the pumps are going to come on. And then we can go further up onto the fire panel. Engine 1 fire test is looking good. And we can do the engine 2 fire test as well. Alright, looking awesome. Then going further down onto the main panel. Adjust the standby, set our QNH. Oh, that was a little bit much. 1021, here we go, that's better. And we can power up the GCDUs as well. We're not going to use them today, and it is really nice that we nowadays have the option to actually remove them from the plane if we want to. But nonetheless, we want to be on the safe side here. Also, very important that you check that the time and date are correct on the clock. Because if you don't do this, and the date is actually wrong, remember this has a manual mode available. So if you have it in manual mode and there is an incorrect date set, then the flaps and slats of the plane may no longer work. So you may lock the flap and slats out if you're at an incorrect date in here. That's really interesting. And sometimes it just makes you think like, what did Airbus think about when they've done stuff like that? But, well, apparently something. Okay, so we're gonna listen to COM 1 and 2, 21.5, 22.8. Ground clutter suppression is certainly supposed to be on, gain and calibrate. And we are going to use weather, turbulence and hazard down here. Not that it would work, but we at least want to pretend. Alright, squawk is going to be a standard IFR squawk here, 2000, something the likes. And that leads us all the way up into our FMS. Alright, so data, aircraft status, we've got an A320-200, V2527-A5 engines, and a current database down here. Then we can go on to the init, and we can request our performance initialization. And El Bapino65 in the chat says there is an issue with the 40 series cards that can affect the Fenix. Well, that's interesting. If there is any actual such problem, that might certainly explain it. But okay, then let's go on. So Barcelona to Nice has uplinked. Marseille is the alternate. Okay, so Victor Lima Golf 251 Lima is going to be our call sign. Cost index 20. I'm initially going to program things from the flight plan, and then I'm going to change them later on. And flight level 300. Nav accuracy upgraded, thank you. Clear all those messages once they're understood. So it's going to be a departure via Darlene. Let's go ahead and grab a couple charts to see what we're expecting over here. So Barcelona, departure, Darlene. Runway 06 should be the active one, so 06 right. Now we just gotta find the applicable charts here. That's 6 left. Still 6 left. Come on. We really have to scroll all the way down now. Still 6 left. That looks better. 6 right. And the initial right-hand turn. Yep, that is what we're looking for. So we'll certainly pin this one over here. Right, apart from that, something that I do really like to do these days is to use the safe taxi that we can find when we zoom in on the en route Navigraph charts. Many still don't seem to be aware that this feature even exists, but really cool thing there that Navigraph offers this. Alright, so this is what we're going to use for our taxi chart, and then we've pinned our SID chart in here, which is awesome. Okay, so Darlene for Romeo, let's go ahead and continue our programming. So, Barcelona, departure, 6 right, and we've got Darlene for Romeo. Here it is. Alright, and then into Nice, we said 22 left is going to be our arrival. And now that one's going to be a little bit more interesting, and we gotta have a close look into the charts as to what we can expect here. So, let's start with the approach that we're actually looking for. 22 left is going to be our runway. So, RNAV initial approach, no. Let's see, do we have anything published for the runway? At least a visual approach chart maybe. RMP Delta. Yeah, that looks okay. Provided that we can actually take it, because we are coming in from the north as far as I'm aware. Ablak 7 Romeo arrival, but let's have a look. So, arrival. Ablak 7 Romeo, here it is. Alright, leading down to Mike Uniform Sierra. Is that the only Ablak arrival? Seems like it, huh? Okay, well then let's continue over here. Initial approach all runways. From Mike Uniform Sierra. Okay, it's just heading 090. We can work with that. And then we go down to the RMP Delta. Is there any other good one? Not really, yeah? I suppose this is probably what they're using. Okay, so let's go for it then. RMP Delta 22 left, here it is. We're the Ablak 7 Romeo, and for the approach via we're gonna take Mike Uniform Sierra. Alright, insert. Now let's have a look into what we have just created. This might be a little bit of an interesting one, but I'm going to show you quite a couple of interesting things here. So, let's start by checking our departure route. Okay, so starting with the routing here, it's going to be 079 track till 500. And we've got 064 410, 071 500, yeah. That is negligible, we're going to ignore that. Okay, then, Bravo Lima 700, maximum 205 knots, above 4,000 feet. And that's in here, 700, 205, above 4,000. By the way, always check your procedure before you are inserting all the weights. Because once you put the weights in, it doesn't show you your constraints here anymore, but it shows you what it actually predicts where it's going to be. So that's quite a good trick to always do this first. Okay, then the routing continues. Bravo Lima 701, 702, 703, 704 above 10,000. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 above level 100. Okay, and then the routing goes via Fenix to Darlin. And in here we've got Fenix and Darlin. Alright, so that is looking good. Then we can check the rest of our complete route in here. Alright, and that leads us to the arrival. So let's go over to Nice. Did I really not pin my arrival chart? Lovely. Alright, here it is though. Easy going. So, Ablak below 200, then Abili, Amphu below level 160. So, Ablak, Abili, Amphu below level 160. Here it is, and then we get on towards Tipic, max 250 knots below level 120, and then to Mike Uniform Sierra above level 80. And that's everything we've got in here. And then heading 090 is in. Alright, that leads us to the RMP Delta approach. So that's looking pretty good. That's pretty much what I expected. No need to play with any of the FMC things here. So, Sodax, Manax, max 200, 3,000 feet. And that is what we've got right over here. Then, Fox November 22 Delta, Mike November 22 Delta. And that's it. Right, missed approach procedure then. We can check that later on, but hey, let's just do it now as well. So Mike November 412, max 185 knots. That's what we have in here. Then 404, 414 in Neras. And we have all of those here. And let's see, climbing to 3,000 feet. Alright, so that stuff is now checked. Alright, then let's continue with our performance entries. So, we need a new waypoint over here, and I am going to quickly create that. So that's going to be Bravo Charlie November X-Ray 2, Barcelona Emergency 2. And that's going to be from LEBL06 right / and now we need the runway track. Can obviously get it from here, or we could just go into the opposite side FMS, but that is, in my new airline at least, is regarded as not the fine gentleman way of doing things. So if you just use the FMS to get the heading of the other runway, you can do it, but it's not gentleman-like. You're not supposed to touch the other pilot's FMS. Alright, so 064 is going to be the heading, so 064/25, as we can simply fly 25 miles ahead. Alright, looks good. Gonna store that. So then let's go into the secondary flight plan, BCNX2. Here we go. Looks good. Enter the holding, 064, and a right-hand turn, looking good. Okay, and then immediate return is going to take us back towards Barcelona for an ILS Zulu approach onto runway 06 left, if we have one. Yes, here it is. Zulu 6 left, don't need anything else. Perfect. Okay then, now we're going to draw the extended center line, which is going to be Barcelona 06 right on the 064 track, and we're going to use the second fixed page to insert Barcelona X2, which is our emergency waypoint. And now when we have a look at the ND, then we can see our entire emergency procedure here, straight ahead to the Barcelona X2 point. And that is visualized. So we've got it both in the secondary flight plan now, as well as in a visual backup. Okay, we don't need anything on the RATNAV. On the progress page, I am going to insert our takeoff runway, Barcelona 06 right. And then we can go on to the data page, next page, pilot's route, store active flight plan, and we can use this to cross-check that our routing is correct. Or at least in the real world we would do that, because unfortunately in the simulator the airplane doesn't draw it correctly. Like you can see over here, it's only first waypoint, 1 airway, DBA, Alpha 6 Martique, and where's the rest? So the Fenix really got a bug over here drawing the route. It should normally tell you everything that you've got in here now, so that you could just use this quite in a similar way to the route pages on the Boeing FMS. But well, that's unfortunate. Can't help ourselves with this, so going to delete it again. Alright, then we can go on to our performance initialization. So let's go over to the flight plan, 0 fuel weight 59.3. And in the absence of a known center of gravity, I'm just going to insert 25 over there. And we said we want a block fuel of 6,000 kilos, so 5980 is on board, that's fine. Going to insert 6 over here. And then for the fuel values themselves, we don't let the Airbus calculate that itself, we are going to insert it manually. 300 kilogram contingency, 1,300 for the alternate. So 0.3, 1.3. It should, by the way, be able to calculate this automatically. Not sure why the Fenix doesn't do that. And the final reserve is going to be 1.1. Alright, and finally we could adjust the taxi fuel, but 200 kilos looks rather good to me, so we're going to leave it just at that. And that tells us now that we've got an extra fuel in time of 700 kilos versus 20 minutes. Okay, so then let's go ahead and do the wind request, and while that is en route, we're going to go for the performance, and we're going to insert that. So Barcelona 6 right, that's pretty much what we calculated earlier. Config 2, 55 degrees. So conf 2, 55, no takeoff shift, and then our takeoff speeds are going to be 137, 137, 140. So 137, 137, and 140. Okay, so reduction and acceleration. Reduction 1500 is good, acceleration is going to be 3500. Welcome to Barcelona noise abatement. Engine out acceleration 1500 is good. We don't need anything pre-selected here, so that is all looking good. Alright, and that's our FMS setup pretty much completed now. So they have closed the doors. We have something in the status page there. In-op systems cap 2. Okay, if it thinks so. Also do have a company message. Now that one I'm going to do on the right-hand FMS. Load sheet. Yeah, thought so. Alright, we're gonna do that in a few moments. But let's first finish up the rest of our setup here. So it's gonna be QNH of 1021. Set left side and set right side. Initial climb altitude 6,000. Here we go. Okay. And I am going to use both VORs. Constraints coming on, and that is it. Alright, perfect. So with that, our flight deck setup is pretty much completed now. So then let's go ahead with our departure briefing. And in the meantime, Yannick is asking a question in the chat there. How many planes have the DCDU installed in real life? Well, honestly, most aircraft do, because it is required for CPDLC, and CPDLC is such a widespread system nowadays that pretty much everybody has it. Alright, so let's go for the takeoff briefing, and the pilot monitoring is going to lead the way over here. So I'm going to switch to the right hand seat for that. Okay, so takeoff runway 06 right. We've got the dial-in for Romeo departure, climbing flight level 60, MSA over the water 3000. Extra fuel 700 kilos, and that gives us approximately 20 minutes. Alright, that's all confirmed, so let's go ahead from the captain's seat now. Hotspots for the planned taxi route. Nothing really. I mean, we're flying Vueling here, so we are supposed to be familiar with the airport. Okay, stop margin for ejected takeoff is unfortunately not calculated, but should be plenty. Engine outset is on the runway track Barcelona X2, that's in the FMS. Immediate return, Barcelona is the best option. ILS Zulu 06 left is prepared on the secondary flight plan. We are under the maximum landing weight, so shouldn't have any issues there. Nothing special, nothing non-standard, no threats for the departure. That's the briefing complete. Alright, I will simply say hello to the passengers now, and then we are going to do the checklist next. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel, and you're all very warm welcome aboard your Vueling flight 1515 to from Barcelona to Nice. Flight time today 55 minutes. Expect a smooth flight at 30,000 feet altitude. Would like to say thank you very much for being on board today. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight with us. And if there's anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Once again, thank you for your attention and thank you for being on board today. I am going to spare the Spanish version here. Okay, so I've turned the beacon on so that GSX starts working. In the meantime, let's do the cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity, that's 5,960 kilogram balanced. Seatbelts on, ADIRS. Navigating, barrel reference, QNH 1021. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, then let's continue with the load sheet. So, zero fuel weight is 59.2. And the CG 31.2. Alright, here we go. So, that's a takeoff CG of 29.6. And if we have a look into here, 29.6 is roughly a down trim of 0.2. Alright, here we go. So, that is looking good. And finally the cross-check of the takeoff weight here, 65 tons, except, and I'm happy to keep the performance figures that we have calculated earlier, those are conservative. Alright. Well, that's looking good. They have disconnected the jetway already. Awesome. Ground from cockpit. Go ahead. So, please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. Okay, so, that's all confirmed. Then, let's see, pushback with the nose to the left, and the parking brake is set. Okay, so, is GSX ready by now? They do look like it, yeah. Okay, parking brake released, and you're clear to push, facing east. The only question is, how am I going to convince it to actually do that? Sometimes I just hate GSX. Why do things take so long here? So, continue pushback, facing east. Alright, now the brake is released. Okay, before start checklist. Parking brake, released. Takeoff speeds and thrust. So V1 137, VR 137, V2 140, flags 55. Windows. Closed. Beacon on. Before start checklist complete. Might as well turn the transponder on. Helps. So, small logical flaw that I saw in here. The slides did not arm until we actually started the pushback. Now, that is not how it should work in the real world. In the real world, you would tell them to... arm the slides as soon as the doors are closed and start the safety demonstration then. That makes life a lot easier. Most certainly because they need to be armed by the time you start moving. But just a small point there. Alright, so... Okay, ground, we're going to start engines 2 and 1 in that sequence, starting engine 2. Engine 2 start. Let's take a timing here, see how long that's going to take with those IAEs. Okay, push complete, set park and brake. Park and brake set, please lower the airplane, remove all ground equipment and advise when clear. And start might take a little while, that's just what we gotta live with the IAE engines. Captain McG, engine 2 start first. Yes, we've had an interesting debate there under my video on the engine start sequences. Let's go ahead and start engine number 1 now, though. Okay, ground, we have got a good start in engine number 2, we're starting engine number 1. So, engine 1 start. We've had an interesting debate there. Now, I checked the Airbus AFCOM one more time after a couple of you told me that many US operators would start engine number 1 first. And yes, actually, according to Airbus, on the A320 family, engine 2 should be started first. On the A330, it's the opposite way around. On the A330, you start engine number 1 first, and then engine number 2 second. But not so on the A320 family. And there is actually a comment about that in the A320 flight crew technique manual, and they especially say that they want engine 2 started first so that the parking brake, which is driven through the alternate brake system, is powered, and that is powered from engine number 2. If we have a look into the hydraulics down here, we can see why. Number 2 powers the yellow system, and the yellow system powers the alternate brakes in the A320. Things are a little bit different in the A330. Okay, we can talk a bit about that in flight if you want to, but for now... Okay, ground, we've got 2 good starts, you're clear to disconnect, show me the clear sign on the right side with a pin, please, and have a wonderful day, bye-bye! Okay, so, has anyone seen the ramp agent yet? I think he's gone by now, is he? Engine start probably took so long that they just disappeared. Alright, after start checklist. Anti-ice, off, ECAM status, checked, pitch trim. That's, what is it actually? 29.6%. Rudder trim, neutral, after start checklist complete. Okay, flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudder. Full left, full right, neutral. Alright then, clear left side, clear right side, taxi fairly straightforward here. Here it is, so we go onto the mics, then southbound on Echo, Juliet, and I believe from Juliet into Kilo for a full length. I believe that's the standard routing here in Barcelona. Okay, so nose light on, turn off light on, and park and brake off. Let's see if it's going to roll on its own. Yes, it is. Awesome. So, brake check. Pressure 0. So in order to conserve the brakes a little bit, we're just going to let the plane accelerate on its own without actually adding any thrust to it. Quick look over here at the scenery. This is what I meant at the beginning of the live stream. Like, you really got some awesome looking ground clutter here in the MK Studios scenery. That's just like what they showed on Flight Radar 24 when we checked the gate at which we should be parking. They've also done a good job on the terminal interior. It's not as detailed as in some other sceneries, but it absolutely does the job. And looking at the performance over here, I have a feeling they made the right choice when they went for the level of detail that they went for. Now, I've flown to Barcelona a lot in the real world. Indeed, my last 737 flight ever went to Barcelona. And all I can say is that MK have managed to hit the airport pretty well. I really like how this is looking. Gonna be interesting to see how it looks like in flight then. What I do notice though when I'm going through turns over here is quite a bit of stuttering. Now, I am rather sure that the stuttering actually comes from the Fenix and not from the MK Studios scenery here, because I really don't know why, but ever since the Block 2 got released, my frame rate is quite down low. Now, I did already ask I did already send a support ticket to Fenix, and they said that they are aware of the issue and collecting data at the moment. So it looks like Fenix is aware that there is a performance bug for a couple of people. Okay, so continue straight over here, and then we're going to turn right onto, I believe it's Echo. Well, yeah, the one going down here, that's Echo. So look at that, all still in idle thrust here, and we went up to 20 knots pretty quickly. And remember, we got 170 people on board. So it's not like we're at a completely lightweight or something the likes. Okay, so next right on to Juliet then. And I would say we just use the opportunity over here to do all of this good stuff. So just waiting for the cabin to get ready now. And when the cabin is ready, then we can read a taxi checklist. In terms of takeoff briefing, I have no updates. Everything pretty much stayed exactly as it used to be. So one from the comments down there, from Gonzi252. Hello, I've noticed that when you disable the rudder pedals after the update, the rudder still moves, but the steering of the nose wheel gets locked out instead. So, could you just tell me what you do in order to disable the rudder pedals? Because you effectively can't do that in the plane. I have a feeling what you're trying to do instead is to press the pedal disconnect button, and all that that's going to do is to disconnect the rudder pedals from the nose wheel steering, but not from the rudder. You will always be able to move the rudder with that. Indeed, that is what you use for your flight control track in those airlines that do it while the aircraft is moving. Hello, Emmanuel in the flight deck.
The cabin is now secure for takeoff.
Thank you very much. Alright, so the cabin is ready. Taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting. Config 2. Radar and predictive wind shear. On and auto. Engine start selector. Norm. ECAM memo. Takeoff no blue. Taxi checklist complete. And again, 22 knots here. Completely in idle. We didn't increase engine thrust a single time yet. That wasn't too tight of a turn, so I just went a little bit above 20 knots. completely acceptable here. Okay, so as unlikely as it is in Barcelona, but let's say that we're lucky and we get our takeoff clearance straight away. So, cabin crew, prepare for departure. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway. Well, we can say for certain already 06 right, full length. TCAS, Tara, PAX 1 and 2, off, lineup checklist complete. Alright, any of these intersections here is going to work for us. We're gonna take Golf 11 here then in order not to taxi to the complete end of the runway, and they basically bring us all to the same lineup position anyway. Okay, are you guys ready? Looks like it. So, small word here, I did indeed turn the packs off rather early. Now, when it is like really hot outside, then you would probably not do that. And you would probably wait a little bit longer until you actually turn the packs off. But when it is like not that hot outside, like at the moment, then you can also turn the packs off a little bit earlier there. The important thing is they need to be off for approximately 50 seconds.
6 right.
Intentionally. Okay, so takeoff.
On runway 06 right.
Still intentionally. Man flags 55, SS runway, A thrust blue. Thrust set. .100 knots, checked. V1 rotates. Positive climb, gear up. Enough, checked. Interesting, it's commanding the right turn before it's actually reached the altitude. Shouldn't do that, should really only command the turn once you have reached the altitude in question. Altitude waypoints are not flyby waypoints, they are flyover waypoints. Okay, here we go. First climb, A thrust. First pack coming on. The approach area runway 24 is looking really, really lovely. I really hope we are going to do that approach at some point in the channel over here. I really hope we do. Pack 2 on. Still got a couple feet to climb. At 3,500 we can start the acceleration. Interesting, by the way, that the flight director commands us to maintain roughly the speed that we had here. So, climb. Checked. So, flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. So in the A330, the flight director would have commanded to reduce your speed again to about V2 plus 10. Not sure if the A320 is supposed to work differently there. So, what is our clean speed going to look like? 209, yeah, tell you what, I'm happy retracting those flaps. Flap 0. Four knots faster in order for the reduced drag. I am happy with that. Right then, let's continue our climb. Say level 100 at first. I'm going to do a little bit more hand flying here because I just like to do it in the Airbus. And I'd say we are well clear of the entire shoreline. Can certainly take a couple directs in a few moments. But first, let's done that. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 68. Now. Checked. Alright, we can start our acceleration. Shallow right-hand turn, 096 is our target heading, and 096 now is our track as well. Flies really nicely. Fenix have done an awesome job in getting that right. Alright then, let's continue our climb to flight level 300. And then we're going to take a slight left-hand turn here towards, let's say... I'll tell you what, let's go direct to Darlin. That is usually what they give you in Barcelona when you're up high enough. So, Darlin. Insert. Off we go with a left-hand turn. So Fenix have really done an awesome job in updating the way how the airplane flies manually. Both with and without SDS. Now, to be totally sure, I don't think I actually turned SDS on my desktop yet, because the video from which I analyzed it was actually shot on my mobile setup. So, a little difference there, even though it is the same side stick. Because for the moment I'm just using the Thrustmaster Airbus stick, because that seems to be what most of the recommendations are based on. Let's just quickly go into the Fenix settings here for a moment. Controls, yeah, let's put the SDS on. Okay then, passing 10,000, and it just feels that bit nicer with SDS. It adds a little bit of lag, and as I said in my video analyzing the SDS, I always thought it was an A330 kind of thing that the airplane had that lag to the side stick. I always put it down to the inertia of the plane, but apparently that is really not the case there. But indeed, it is the Airbus logic altogether to have that little bit of delay. Okay, so reaching our target speed here. Now, as I mentioned, might be running a bit late. Let's see, 44 is our arrival time. I believe the schedule set something in the region of 50 for our arrival. So with 44 we're actually running quite on time. So I'm going to maintain the cost index speed here. Alright. Autopilot 1. Then we can quickly do our 10 checks. Don't think it's going to be turbulent anytime soon. So let's put the seatbelts off as well. We can go over to airport over here, so we don't need the constraints anymore. So clear and copy, nothing in here, copy in here, and can remove the fixed info as well. Okay, 300, optional 350, maximum 381. And LFMN22 left is going to be our arrival runway. Okay, looking good, and with that we have done it. We are finally en route. I always find it a little bit of a pity when the sun is coming from behind you that the simulator is making the aircraft so overly bright like it does right now. Like, we really can't see any of the details unless we're looking into the sun, and this is, however, where the Fenix starts to look really, really good. The new model is really awesome. Now this surprises me a bit. Vueling does say that they have Wi-Fi on board here, but there is no Wi-Fi antenna mounted. In the description of delivery on flightsim.co, it actually said that the config was correct for the airline, so might just have to check flight radar, see if the airplane really doesn't have a SATCOM antenna. Echo Charlie Lima Uniform November. I tell you what, go right back into the cockpit here, that's a little bit more silent. And then we might just about have a quick look at the flight radar. So that's Echo Charlie Lima Uniform November, Vueling A320. Let's have a look real quick. Nope, it doesn't seem to have. That's interesting. Okay, but look at that. It doesn't have the Wi-Fi sticker in the real world. It does not have the Wi-Fi sticker. So the livery seems to be slightly inaccurate. Oh well, so be it. Finn asking in the comments, do you have your loudspeaker set to maximum on the real plane as well? Not really. Usually my loudspeaker is more set somewhere in the middle, something like that. And then on the audio control panel, something just right off the middle is usually going to work fine. Something like that. And then the VHF2, slight bit quieter. And this is usually a very nice setup for the airplane. Now, can I actually show you that? Yeah, I can. Well, okay, I turned it down here. Look at that. I built myself a new background for the electronic flight bag. And over here you can see the loudspeaker knob in the A330, but I turned it down for the approach most likely, because what sometimes happens is that when the speaker is turned up too much and you got the interphone set onto the hot mic so that it's constantly transmitting, then you can cause an echo for your colleague who is going to hear air traffic control both through his own headset, but then also through the speaker if it's coming from the colleague's speaker and picked up through the headset's microphone. So that's the reason I turned it down over here. But in the real world, we would wear the headset until we reach about cruising altitude and until we're out of busy airspace. And when both is the case, then we'd put the headsets up, and then approximately halfway on the loudspeaker and a little bit more than half on the audio control panel works really nicely for most situations at most normal cruising speeds. Alrighty. So, Birdman saying in the comments, is he seeing his own stream here? He needs to respond. The freezes are otherwise misleading viewers' perception of Fenix performance. I'm really not sure what you mean, Birdman. I mean, yes, there are freezes in the simulation, but yeah, I do have those. And Elbapino65, can you please put your EFB picture into the Discord? I'm working on that, but it's not finalized yet. There's a little bit more stuff that I want to do on it. Like, I'm not yet 100% happy with where the logo is. I thought about putting it here, but that didn't look too good. Maybe I'll put it somewhere. I'll put it somewhere. But when it's done, I'm definitely going to share it. Because I do really like that picture. That's an approach to Frankfurt, by the way. And I just really loved the light there. The sun just came above the horizon. Early morning landing. I don't remember where we actually came from on that one. Probably the Caribbean. If in doubt, always the Caribbean. But that was a really nice one indeed. Alright though. For now, let's go back to the standard setup for a cruise flight, which is pretty much this. So en route chart, somewhere up over here, like that, would be a typical cruising setup. But talk about it, where is my en route chart? Now it's just staying wide. Why is that? Sometimes the Fenix is still a little bit annoying. Sometimes. But anyway, then we'll just continue like that for now, and we'll just hope that it is eventually going to load. And Metal Eye means that the guy says the stream is lagging. Okay, well, my simulator is lagging a little bit, but we are talking about, well, what are we talking about there? I would say maybe a frame rate of about 25 or so. And that includes the, that already includes the frame rate generation. So the frame rate really is not that good. I do suffer from a low frame rate ever since I updated the Fenix to the Block 2 update. I did submit a support ticket about that, and they said that, yeah, they are somewhat aware and collecting information on it. So until then I can only wait and live with what we have now. And Birdman, some significant freezes, especially on the external view. No, that's the stream. You shouldn't have any freezes on the external view. Like, if I'm just going outside again, that is running absolutely smooth. So that's probably the live stream. That is not the Fenix. The Fenix has the issues in the cockpit for my setup, but not on the outside model. On the outside, things are pretty much smooth, unless GSX is involved. If GSX is involved, then frame rates are going really down in pretty much any view. Alright, but in here everything is working pretty much fine. Alright, well, I'm afraid not all that much that I can do about the stream. I'll just stay inside the cockpit then, and hope that that's going to solve it. And David Arboleda, waiting for the Inibuild A320. Yeah, honestly, no clue when it's going to come. They said it is going to be, included in the next sim update, but at least the beta version of the sim update don't have it yet. So who knows? Maybe they were not able to solve the legal issues. Maybe something like that, but really don't know for sure. And Yannick, you said earlier the plane definitely shouldn't use the old standby instruments. In the real world it has an ISIS. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting, because the painter who did the livery on flightsim.to said that the config was accurate. But I just left the config the way that he made it. And John Colley, did I get to keep my seniority when I switched to the A330? No, because I changed the airline to do that. And it is also worth just pointing out that my new airline, just like my old airline, both didn't really have a seniority system. So we're just simply running off a system of, well, first come first serve most of the time. Like when bidding for a flight, then when the computer says it's possible, then you're going to get it. And Konali, use airline settings from the sim setting menu. I'm gonna do that once again, but the painter actually showed this configuration on the screenshots as well, so really didn't see much wrong with it. But let's quickly fly the level off, and then I am just going to do that. Slightly quicker than 1,000 feet a minute here, but not significant, so I will let the plane do that stuff itself. Mach Alt Cruise, oh sorry, Alt Star. I'm so used to the A330 saying Alt Cruise Star, because the A330 arms Alt Cruise mode in blue when you dial in your cruising altitude, and then it's also going to show you Alt Cruise Star, obviously. Just like now. It went into Alt Cruise mode, but previously it was an Alt Star, you know? So I think on the A330 that's a little bit more logical than it is in the A320, but what the Fenix does is correct here, don't get me wrong for that. For the A320 it's correct, it's just strange from an A330's point of view. Alright, so we are approaching the border, and then I would say we can pretty much, well, actually a nice view here. Military area here, and we are flying right in the middle. I tell you what, we're going to continue along the published route. Okay, so now you guys want me to say use airline settings. Okay, airline settings applied. But we still get to keep the old instruments, because that is what the painter is showing on his website. So either his configuration is incorrect, even though he says it's correct, or maybe some of the information that you guys got about the airframe in question here is not. But really not sure. And Selim Samas, hey Captain, can't you fly in real life? Does a pilot flying in real life have that much time? Well, the answer is quite easy. Yes, a pilot flying in real life does have that much time. And can't I fly in real life? Well, I flew last night. I just landed this morning after a long haul. Now I got a few days off, and then I am going to do another flight over to the Caribbean in, I believe, on Friday. So, you know, you don't fly every single day in the real world. In my old airline it used to be 5 days on, 4 days off, and in the 4 off days you can record many videos, you know. You take a full day, that's 5 or 6 videos recorded, and then you can release them over the time when you are actually working. And on the long haul, you know, you do about 3 or 4 tours per month, so that equates to 8 days of flying. Then obviously you've got layovers, you've got minimum rest time that you gotta abide, and so on. So with 4 long hauls a month, you are actually being kept really, really busy. But regarding your question, believe me, I am flying the legal maximum that I can, but there's still quite a bit of off time left. Obviously, saying there is off time left is also a little bit misleading, because it is worth to point out here that right now I'm actually pretty fatigued, because I was up all night long, and I actually got up at like 3 p.m. yesterday, 3 p.m. German time zone, then flew through the entire night, came back home today at maybe 10 or 11 a.m., slept for about 3 or 4 hours. But if I'm going to sleep now, I am tired, yes, but if I'm going to sleep now, then my sleeping rhythm is going to be thrown completely away. So for that reason I just don't go to sleep now, but you know, I do a live stream or some stuff like that. I'm gonna go to sleep maybe around midnight or so, and that's the only way to regain a normal sleeping rhythm after flying through the night. At least for me it is. There are other people who can do different, but you know, alright, so, Doorwinner's Robert, that's an interesting question there. How easy do you think it usually is to transition to the captain position on the Airbus to fly with the left hand? I honestly tell you, I don't think there's much of a difference. Like, when a student pilot learns to fly, they usually steer with the left hand because they're sitting on the left seat. Then you become first officer, you steer with the right hand. But honestly, that's maybe 1 or 2 hours getting used to it, and thereafter you can do it. And it's going to be the same when you change back to captain and then steer with the left hand again. It's just not going to make too much of a difference. For me, it's not going to be a difference anyway, because in the simulator I often use the left hand to steer. Because right now, for example, I'm flying with the Thrustmaster Airbus setup, so I've got the stick on the left side. When I fly with the WinWing, I got the stick on the right side, so I'm doing both for a lot of time anyway. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a difference there. Alrighty, so we're already approaching the Topper descent, but there's two interesting questions there really. John Colley, how often have you spoken with other traffic on 1 to 3.45? Honestly, every now and then. On the North Atlantic, that is actually a frequency that's used really, really much for, you know, communicating with other aircraft, asking about turbulence ahead, turbulence at other flight levels, and so on. So you really use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quite a lot on long hauls. And then obviously flying through Africa, there is 126.9, which is the in-flight broadcast frequency. And when you hear a broadcast of an airplane that is relevant to you, then you are definitely going to speak to them as well on that frequency. So yeah, you do use that quite often. What you rarely use, however, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order to do private chat with other flights. I did do that a few times, like when hearing a friend of mine on the radio, then you would just ask him like, hey, you want to come to 1, 3, 4, 5? And, you know, then change a couple words, but you don't do that too much, really. It is something that is done occasionally, but it's not done too often. And Case Erhan, how does it feel to fly with a heavy aircraft? I honestly gotta tell you, it doesn't make too much of a difference. There is a little bit of inertia when steering the plane, but the A330 got super strong engines, especially in idle thrust. The plane is just rolling, just like the A320 IAE is. Even at max takeoff weight, the A330 is still rolling straight. And going up to 30 knots in idle. So there is really not all that much that would actually show you it's a heavy aircraft from the cockpit. The only thing that really makes you notice that you're flying a wide body is obviously the taxi, where you gotta overshoot quite a bit with the cockpit, and then you've got the height above the ground at which you're sitting. So especially when landing the plane. It's just a completely different picture. And once you've touched down with the aft wheel of the main wheel bogie in the A330, then you've got to land the forward wheel of the bogie, and then you've got to land the nose wheel. So that is 3 landings for the price of 1, and every single one of them, you've got at least a meter that you need to lower the gear onto the tarmac. So you really got to do 3 landings for the price of 1. And then obviously when the nose wheel is lowered to the runway, that's really where you come down like 3 or 4 meters, depending on your approach pitch. Personally, I'm a huge fan of doing flap 3 approaches with the A330 as well. Just did one this morning, landing in Frankfurt. And, you know, that gives you a huge pitch. More than 5 degrees during the flare. You're looking at something just below 7 degrees. And obviously, when you then start lowering the nose, you're like 25-30 meters in front of the main wheel. So you can calculate the height above the ground at which your cockpit still is, and over which it's going down. So something to keep in mind there, but that is really the only difference that makes you feel that you're actually flying a wide body, rather than Alright, so then, John Colley, have you ever got a TCAS RA? No, I've got a lot of TAs, a lot of traffic advisories, but not a resolution advisory. And Yannick, can I just say let's do flaps 3? Yes, absolutely. When I'm the pilot flying, then I just do my thing. And if the captain is unhappy with what I'm doing, he's going to tell me like, well, I would prefer flaps full. Shall we do that? And then obviously, as long as I don't see a good reason why not to use flaps full, then obviously if the captain wants me to do it, I'm going to do it. But by default, I do follow the Airbus green operating procedures quite a bit. And that usually includes flaps 3, auto brakes low, idle reverse. But, you know, always make that dependent on the actual situation. That is actually the reason, by the way, why I was so insistent on the flap 3 performance with the Fenix Airbus. Flap 3 just is the standard landing setting that we use nowadays. And that is what Airbus recommends as well. In the green operating procedure it says use flaps 3 when performance and safety margins allow. So that is what I'm doing then, and that is what I couldn't do previously on the Fenix, and why I really wanted them to get that right. Alright, they want a delay code for 6 minutes. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Delay allocation card. So, operational delay. Where is simulator restart? I do believe they have that. Yeah, ESM, simulator restart. I love it. Okay, so, ADC delay, ESM, time 6 minutes, free text, black screen, on load. Alright, and that is our delay explained. Here we go. So then, back into the flight operations. So, 240 at 12, Kavok 13 degrees, 1012. Well, that's quite a difference in wind. So, 1012 is pre-selected. Okay then, we check the flight plan page. We don't need the RADNAV page. We've got our landing runway in here. Okay, we're going to keep the standard speeds. Yeah, working on it. So, 1012, 13 degrees, 240 at 12. Here we go. So, config 3, most certainly. Alright, then let's go into the performance. So, Nice 22... It's left that we're landing on, isn't it? It's a dry runway. Let's just take the latest meta here again. Okay, for the landing. 3.7, so we're going to use 300 kilos. I don't believe that. We are going to use more than that. Well, anyway. Let's first of all go ahead and start our descent, by the way. Let's go down 20,000. So, descent, alt, flight level 2 on the blue. Speed. Okay, well, gonna keep that stuff anyway. Let's say we're gonna do 63 tons of landing weight, then we're on the conservative side here. So 63, low auto brake, we are going to use idle reverse, config 3, auto thrust off. Here we go, that is looking good. Then a quick look at the charts to see whether that makes sense. So 2 to left, gonna come off Echo Bravo. It's a 3,000 meter runway, we need 2,200. Yeah, we can certainly come off Echo Bravo over here. That should be possible. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. Interesting, why do they have a C5 Galaxy restriction chart? Like, did anyone actually ever fly there on a C5 Galaxy? Well, no further comment on that, huh? No further comment on that. Okay, so that is that part. Then, quick look onto the final approach chart. This approach is going down to the south, and we've got an MSA of 3,100 over there. So then we are going to do 3,100. And the final thing that we need for the approach, MD8 1,260. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to use terrain on ND on my side, as we are going to fly over some rather hilly terrain here. And with that, I'd say fuel prediction is done. Yeah, 38 minutes extra fuel, beautiful. Secondary, I'm just going to copy the active, that's it. Alright, so I'm ready for the approach briefing when you are. Roger that. And we just do have a company message here. Let's quickly check that out. Fueling ops, ADC received. Thank you. Alright then. Briefing when you're ready. So, MSA 3,000 down to the south and very high in the north, but we've got good weather. We can see pretty much everything. We know that the Alps are there. Okay, so for the arrival, uplock arrival for Arnav Delta approach, runway 22 left. Minimum is going to be Barrow 1260, and go around trajectory is left out and climbing 3000. Extra fuel and time 38 minutes. Alright, guidance for the approach initially is going to be final approach, and later we are going to turn the flight directors off, and we're going to use the bird for the visual part of the landing. Config 3 stop margin is going to be about 700 meters, reversers idle, auto brakes low, planned runway exit Echo Bravo to the right. Hotspots for taxiing, honestly nothing there really. Nothing special, nothing non-standard, and do you see any threats for the arrival? No? Awesome. So that's a briefing completed. Then I will quickly talk to the passengers. Ladies and gentlemen, from flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We've started our descent towards Nice, and the remaining flight time is now approximately 20 minutes. Weather in Nice currently a little bit windy from the west, and temperature 13 degrees centigrade. We'd like to thank you very much for choosing Vueling for today's flight. Hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to welcoming you again on board of a future flight. Thank you very much for your attention, and we hope to see you again soon. Alright, so that is pretty much that part done. Owen, thank you so much for the $1.99 donation. So, going back up there, John Colley, my friend that is an FO at SAS, has got one resolution advisory at London Heathrow once. The captain was an old Boeing guy that forgot how All-Star works, didn't do vertical speed up to 6,000 or whatever it was climbing like crazy and got a resolution advisory. Whoopsie. Well, stuff happens. I mean, just look at the pilot's ITV video of the Swiss A330 into Miami, where the guys have been descending rather quickly. It's quite ironic, actually. They first explain, like, yeah, if you descend too quickly, if you approach your cleared altitude too quickly, you can get traffic advisory for nothing. And then exactly that happens to them. They do go down too quickly. You can see like 1,600 feet a minute on their vertical speed indicator down, approaching the cleared altitude, and all of a sudden, traffic. That's really quite nice to see in their in that video. Certainly worth watching. Interesting. A couple of guys saying again 1 frame per second. Well, why is that? Why is that stream so bad today? I really can't see anything obvious that would make the stream so bad. I mean, it's certainly not my neighbors uploading porn at the moment. That can be rather heavy on the connection, but I don't think it is. And Quotenwagnerianer, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the new Fenix update does do a little harm to my performance, but nothing in the region of a slideshow or something. You know, it's maybe 25 frames instead of the previous 40, but, you know, 25 frames still should be mostly micro stutters. So, really not 100% sure of what's causing that. Might just be bad internet today. I mean, I'm in Germany, so... Alright, I'm gonna check that on my iPad right now. Just give me a second. Let's see what that actually looks like. It is quite interesting. I mean... Let's see, my YouTube. Give me a second, working on it. Okay, so let's go a little bit left and right and see what that's gonna look like. But okay, I can see immediately what you guys mean. But why that is a very good question. Really not too sure about that. Let me just go into the settings, see if there is anything that I can do about that. So settings, stream. Well, it just tells me it is connected properly. Bitrate is looking fine. Resolution should be looking fine. I mean, I can scale the resolution down a bit, but I'm not sure that's going to have an immediate effect on the... I'm not sure that's gonna have an immediate effect on the stream, but let's just see. So I've just scaled it down. But interestingly enough, when I'm looking at the video itself, okay, it does offer 1440p. Maybe if I reduce that a little bit further, maybe that is going to help a little bit. And Captain McG, is it because of frame generation? I don't think so. I mean, I do kind of think it's probably due to bad internet over here. Maybe I should really just tell the neighbors to stop watching porn right now, because I do need the bandwidth. But okay, I can't change my I can't seem to change the stream settings while I am streaming, so I don't think that that's actually going to make too much of a difference. I mean, all options that I see right now, if it's really due to internet, would be to restart the restart the router or anything the likes, but I don't think that that is going to make too much of a difference there. At least not while I'm actually streaming, so that would interrupt the stream itself. It's interesting. Now, why is it better now? I literally didn't change much. And GoCap 1, I don't think it's actually hardware related. I think it's more due to the speed of the internet connection. My entire house, which comprises 6 different flats, has a total of 120 Mbits coming down to the basement. So I'm pretty sure if everybody is currently streaming something in HD, then it's probably just completely killing the internet. I should just tell my neighbors to watch less porn. That's probably going to do it. Well, Zoltan Tikni, try to stop streaming for a moment, then restart it again. Well, I might give that a try, but I don't think I can actually reconnect, so that is going to kill the entire live stream, and we would have to... But I'm pretty sure it's internet related, so that's probably not going to make too much of a difference, if I'm honest. I think it is just the internet. Well, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the record button, and then, in case you will not be able to watch the landing live, then I at least can upload it later on. So... Hey everyone, so I just turned on the record function here in the live stream, so in case that the arrival really comes out bad in the live stream, then you will at least be able to watch it with a good frame rate here in the aftermath when I'm going to upload it as a video. So I do think that is probably the best option we have right now. It's just German internet here. I mean, I'm just living in a major city with a population of about 250,000, so you can't expect good internet in a third world country like Germany here. Alright, in any case, we are now on the approach itself, so it is going to be Nice, runway 2 to right. We've got the wind 240 at 12, and actually runway 2 to left. I do apologize for that. 2 to right is closed by NOTAM. So, I will upload this one after the landing, for sure, in case the live stream doesn't have the performance that you guys want. Well, we can already see the airport of Nice over there, and it is the new JustSim Nice V2. Well, I'm saying new, it's actually a couple of weeks old now. So that's the basis under which we are flying this. Approaching Mike Uniform Sierra, we're going to leave this on a heading of 090. And in the real world, we'd get radar vectors over here. In the sim, we can probably just take it direct to Sotox to fly the RMP Delta approach down towards runway 22 left. And then from the missed approach point for runway 22, we're going to start the approach visually into 22 left. So that is our idea for what we're going to do over here. Alright, so turning on to the 090 heading, and then I would say we just go direct to Sotox here in the absence of any air traffic control. So here we go, direct to insert, and to Sotox we go. Alright, looks like we just went down to 1,000 feet a minute. That is alright, and we are going to fly a small level off here in flight level 70 before we are going to continue our descent. I could imagine ATC might probably vector us a little bit away from the city here, so let's go ahead and do that same thing. Give me a heading of 080, that should be sufficient to keep us over the actual water line. So passing 10,000, let's go ahead and turn on the landing lights. Then we do have the seatbelts on, constraint selected, we don't need the landing system. Down on the progress page, it's GPS primary, high accuracy, landing runway is in there, and the start selector is in norm. Perfect. Alright then, going all the way down to 3000, and then we can go on to QNH. So set QNH. And then let's quickly cross-check that we are actually going on the correct QNH. So I'm just going to request the latest weather one more time. Weather, Lima, Fox, Mike, November. Request into here. Do you want a METAR? Send that out. Weather data, here it is. So 24015, gust 26 now, slightly variable, 14 degrees, 1011. Good thing we requested that. So it just made our approach that little bit more interesting. Alright, so 240 at 15, 14 degrees, 1011. 240/15. And we now have 14 degrees and 1011. Alright, awesome. Okay then, let's go ahead with the approach checklist, please. Barrel reference, QNH 1011. Seatbelts on, minimum, Barrow 1260. Auto brake, low, engine start cell, norm. Approach checklist complete. T-glass below, even though it doesn't make much of a difference anymore. Alright, so we are clear of the terrain for now. We will have it visual on the arrival. I'm gonna turn the terrain on ND off here again. And I do hope that I do surely hope that our GPWS isn't going to go crazy on the arrival itself. Okay, so looking for 1,000 feet a minute here. There we go. Going to keep this one slightly on the heading so that we don't have this curve over at Sotox, because I don't want to cut that bit here, because you can see on the chart they want us to fly from Sotox directly to Nanax. So I'm going to go a little bit over here and then direct to Sotox for the approach itself. 3000 by the Fox November point is good. Not sure why that level of arrow is hanging around there on the plan page. It certainly shouldn't. I mean, it's probably attached to our route line over here, but in the plan mode, obviously that should not be there like this. Well, okay, so be it. Hello, Emmanuel in the cockpit.
The cabin is now secure for landing.
Thank you. Alright, so the cabin is ready. Down there is our field. So that is looking pretty good. Alrighty, so everything's pretty much prepared for that approach. If we look down at the ocean, we can see the swells over here. So that already tells us it is going to be rough on the approach. But that is how we like it, isn't it? And good question there from Birdman in the comments. How significant is the QNH discrepancy in Airbus on the landing? Well, it's 27 feet per hectopascal. So, you know, if it's just 1 hectopascal, not a problem. But imagine it to be 10 hectopascal difference. Imagine if we dialed in 1001 instead of 1011. And in that case, we would have 270 feet difference, and now remember, 1 nautical mile, about 300 feet on a 3-degree glide slope. So if we dial the QNH in, that is 10 hectopascals below what we are supposed to have, then all of a sudden we're going to miss the runway threshold by 1 nautical mile. And I think you will agree that that is rather significant. Alright, we could easily fly a visual approach here, we do have everything inside, but I kind of want to fly the RNAV because with that weather, you know, let's get it in stabilized and then we can still start reducing a little bit later. Rate of descent looking good, arriving approximately at SOTOX in 3000 feet. Then we can reduce our speed in a level segment, and that should be just about perfect. Alright, so let's go direct SOTOX now. Just a very minor cut here into the procedure, so that's looking pretty good for me. Nav. Okay. So, SOTOX in 8 miles, seatbelts are on. Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Let's have them seated early, because it might get pretty rough, especially with the winds 240. It's going to be almost down the runway, but it's going to come slightly from over the land. And if you look at all the hills that you've got over here, then those gusting 25 knots coming over the hills, that is going to make for some turbulence. So depending on Microsoft Flight Simulator, we might be in for an interesting arrival over here. We can hope. We can certainly hope. So the decel point is located rather early over here. I mean, that's easily like, what, 7 miles or something that it wants for the speed reduction. But I'll tell you what, we are going to do that nonetheless. So, well, I'll keep it flying down onto 3000 feet over here, and we'll just let the speed slowly come back by itself. I think there is a 200 knot restriction over Nanax, which we are more or less going to abide. We'll be level 200 bit miles before. We're losing a little bit of speed over here, even though just a tiny bit. So, overall, yeah, I'd say we are going to be slightly above the 200 knots, but not significant. Can obviously always just do this, thrust idle open descent, and then just activate the approach phase already. Here we go. And now our speed is coming back all by its own. Alright, those are some really large swells down there. That is gonna be a fun landing. That's gonna be a fun landing. We can see that just by the look at the water. By the way, guys, this is part of the reason why I always say that it is rather important to have good visuals in a simulator. Because many fans of other simulations, or of other simulators, always tell me like, yeah, but visuals are not important if the aircraft don't work. And, well, I honestly tell you the aircraft do work when they are developed well, which, however, is not the case with many add-ons. But that's another point. Speed All-Star. But the important point here is that flying an airliner is 75% looking outside and 25% looking inside. Alright, flaps 1. Speed check, flaps 1. Approach nav, final blue. So, 3 miles to the delta point. I'm gonna keep it in config 1 over here until we start our final descent. Alt. Okay, so, small level segment here. It's not a continuous descent approach anymore, but honestly tell you, we are over the water. Whom are we going to disturb? The dolphins? Well, in that case, I apologize for the dolphins. I also apologize for not being able to make any dolphin-like noises right now. But, no, you will not get me do that. Not on a live stream, not on a recorded video. Alright, so we are approaching the descent point, 1 nautical mile to run. So the brake should come alive by about 0.6 miles, roughly. 27 knots of headwind, and that is not good. Alright, here comes the brake, exactly at 0.6 as imagined. Speed final approach. Ooh, interesting. That was a nice overshoot. About 75 feet. 1 dot here is 100 feet. Okay, go around altitude. Let's just cross-check that. Yeah, 3,000 feet set. Right, that's our landing runway. We're going to stay to the left of all of these rocks up there. Okay, flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. Gear down. Gear down. So, let the drag develop. Flaps 3. Speed check, flaps 3. Okay, landing checklist, ECA memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. You can very nicely see ground speed mini in action over here. Look at that commanded speed. Okay, so autopilot off, auto thrust off, flight directors off, bird on. So set runway track.
100 above.
Checked. Okay, looking excellent.
Minimum.
Continue. So, landing runway is located just over there. We're gonna land on the left runway. Beautiful look out there, isn't it? Really beautiful look. So we're about a mile from touchdown now. Let's continue our descent. At about 45% N1. In order to maintain our speed. Pretty much like that. Okay, and there comes the landing runway. Feels a bit like Madeira, doesn't it? Just that the view is a little bit nicer over here. So it starts getting a bit more gusty over here. That's our landing runway, 22 left. I cannot make out any puppies right now. Okay, there they are. Well, let's keep it coming down. Keep it coming down. I think this looks alright.
Approaching.
It's just very hard to see the puppies against this background.
500.
I think that is showing 3 whites. Just looks rather high right now. But well, 1,000 feet a minute keeps us going nicely onto the markers, so I take it. Okay, now we're on 3 reds.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
Come on, don't float.
5.
Okay, we're down. So, spoiler, reverse green decel.
One.
70 knots.
200 meters remaining.
Manual brakes. Okay, next exit to the right then, and here we are. Welcome to Nice. Okay, getting off to the right, and here we are. So, gonna start the timer over here, because we will consider doing single engine taxi. Might just actually do it like this. And we are going to cross the runway straight, I believe. I do believe that is the normal taxi route here. So, clear on the right side. I mean, it's a construction site anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Approaching 04 left.
Intentionally. Alright, and on to the terminal. So, that certainly was an interesting approach there. I do hope that you guys enjoyed that one. Certainly was fun for me to fly, especially with the gusts that came in the back. Or in the end of the approach. So, definitely an interesting little one. Alright, so, for now, I would like to say thank you very much for watching so far already. We are just quickly going to do the after landing checklist. Radar and predictive wind shear off, after landing checklist complete. And with that, I am going to close this video. So if you're watching this one in the aftermath through the video that I just recorded of the approach, then thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, my friends. And if you're watching this one through the live stream, then well, I hope that you got a little bit out of it. The video is going to be up depending on my upload rate, I hope. Latest by tomorrow noon. Latest by then. And I would like to thank you very much for actually sticking around. I was rather surprised with that frame rate to see 160 people over here in the chat. But, well, hey, that means quite a lot actually. If there's 160 people watching a slideshow, just because they do like what I'm talking about. So that must mean I'm doing something right over here. So, hey, we are just gonna keep it at that. Alright, so taxi in, well, just about to reach 3 minutes, not worth switching off an engine anymore. Well, I do hope that I will be able to do a live stream with a little bit better performance over the course of the next couple of days. But anyway, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you very much for watching already. Hope that you've enjoyed it as much as you could. And if you did, then be sure to let me know in the comments below. In any case, I will stick around a little bit and answer a couple of questions that you guys might have. So if you do have any questions, then do put them in the comments right now. Even though it might look like a slideshow, I will try to answer as many as possible here. Alright, in the meantime though, parking checklist. So, park and record trucks, brake set, engines, off, fuel pumps, off, park and checklist complete. And yes, the wing light has indeed been removed from the checklist again. Probably Airbus finally realized how that was a little bit interesting to check the wing lights there. Alrighty, so, with that said, Gonzi252 has been asking, is that FS2 crew RAS? Yes, it is. So I kind of got around to use that a little bit more again, because it is just something that we do have on most aircraft in the real world. And of the fleet that I'm flying, all but 3 aircraft have it. So for that reason I started using it a little bit again. Alright, so with that said, thank you very much everyone. I do hope that you enjoyed the live stream. And I see you again, hopefully with a little bit... better performance in the future. Thank you for watching, and see you all again. Well, a couple of questions just came in, so let me quickly answer that. Motoko, you may have answered this already, but are you planning to go to FS Weekend to meet up with the PMDG guys? Yes, I do. And Alexandua55, perhaps a dumb question, but how is it decided what type of approach you make? RNAV, ILS, VOR, or visual? Is it the ATC or the pilot making the call? Well, the final call always rests with the pilot, but it is usually the approach that has the highest precision. So an ILS is going to be the favorite, then comes an RNAV approach, then comes a non-precision approach like VOR or NDB, and then visual comes last. Unless a visual can achieve a significant saving, for example, because you can cut short a lengthy instrument procedure by just going in visual, and that is certainly something that we do all the time. Personally, I'm flying visual approaches whenever I can, as number one, it's good training to keep up your skills, and number two, it obviously does achieve the company quite a bit of saving in terms of time and money. Well, and in number three, somewhere very far down at the bottom, it's just a heck load of fun. But that's just the side word. And that's going to be the last word from the stream then. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and